Hi, my name's Kathy. Welcome. Today I'm going to be doing a full face of makeup and I'm going to be discussing the case of Adrianne Reynolds. So Adrianne Reynolds was born September 12th, 1988, and we're starting her story at age 16. So I'm not going to go over her whole background as far as like her upbringing. What I can tell you about her upbringing is that she had a good family, normal life, nothing really too crazy. I mean, her parents did divorce because once she's 16, she moves from Texas to Illinois. And she moves from her mom to her dad and stepmom. And so her dad is her adopted dad, but as far as we know, like that's her dad, regardless. So she's a real troubled teen, I tell you what. She's really drawn to the rougher crowd, I guess you could say. Rebellious, a real troublemaker, you know, a real pain in the ass. But what 16-year-old isn't? I know I was. Sometimes I still am, but what's my mom gonna do about it now? Tell me that, So, when she moves in with her dad, she starts attending school at Black Hawk College Outreach Center. So, an alternative school. So she goes to this school to do a GED program. And so there, at this alternative school, there's like a lot of alternative kids, you know what I'm saying? Like the real naughty kids. This is like the last chance type of place. But she was driven and she really did want to get her GED. And this is my first time using this concealer and I don't know how I feel about it, but it's light. I like that. So anyways, she has a dream of joining the Marines, and she's a real tough cookie. So she could do it, you know? But she befriends some folks at this school. One of them named Sarah. The other one, later on, she meets Cory. And Cory first knows Sarah, meets Adrianne through Sarah, if that makes sense. He joins the school like later on. So this Sarah character, she's a real toughie. She's like the leader of her little friend group, which, side note, they referred to themselves as juggalos. And if any of you out there hear this word and go, oh, could it be? Yes, it be. It be ICP, the Insane Clown Posse. Now, when I was younger, a teen, I was kind of into ICP, still kind of am. But these kids were like hardcore about it. They're like, we're juggalos, yeah! So they're like real hardcore, especially Sarah, who presents herself as a lesbian. And she sees Adrianne and she's like, look at her, she's hot. That's a quote. So she's liking what she sees and they become friends. And Adrianne is like, maybe I'm bi-curious, I don't know. So she has kind of this flirtatious relationship going on with Sarah. And they're having a real fun time, you know, being real tough, being real juggalo-esque, if you will. So Cory, Sarah's homeboy, I believe that they met at a mall and smoked a joint together, but it's not in my notes, and I don't know if I'm getting mixed up with another case. So I think that that's how they met, but They are good friends at this point. He's he's immediately infatuated with her. He tells her, you know, I will do anything for you, anything you want. I'm in love with you. And she's like, you're my friend, but like, I'm really into this girl here. And it didn't matter. It didn't deter Cory because he was like, I mean, he was just fully in love with Sarah. And she kind of flirted with him too, kind of leading him on a little bit. But you know, we're talking about 16-year-olds here, so that's not like super unheard of, not super surprising. Before I go any further, I just want to stop you here and let you know that it gets pretty graphic, and this is now your warning. If you don't think you can handle super graphic, very violent, very intense, this is your time to exit. You've been warned, okay? If not, if you can handle it, let's keep going. Let's go. Okay, so Sarah tells Adrianne about a party that's coming up, a house party. And Adrianne's like, hell yeah, dude, sign me up. Alcohol, weed, cigarettes, you bet. So they go to this party and Sarah's like pumped because they've been like flirting, they've been passing notes, all kinds of like love letters. Meanwhile, so Sarah's been passing love letters to Adrianne, and Cory's been writing love letters to Sarah. And there's just a lot of love letters going on, you know, a lot of crushing happening, little triangle situation. So they go to this party and Sarah's like, yeah, look who I came with, the new girl. So they're hanging out, having a real fun time, as you do at a high school party. And Adrianne disappears for a little bit. So she like disappears with a couple dudes or something like that, you know, was gone for a little bit, comes back and tells Sarah that she had hooked up with somebody. I couldn't really get a straight answer about that situation. Like, was it one guy? Was it two guys? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. She hooked up with somebody and Sarah was furious. She felt like that was just total betrayal and she was done with her. She was done with her and she let her know it too. She belittled her in front of a big group of people and told her what a this, that, and the other. Hoe, slut, skank, the accoutrement. And everyone was watching and everyone was like, so Adrianne was, you know, really embarrassed by that. And if I was her, I would have been like, whatever, dude, I'm done with you. If you're gonna be freaking out like this, like, I'm not your girlfriend. But you know how it be in high school. It's very dramatic. So this pretty much breaks up their friendship. So Adrianne has, I guess, a choice to make here. Be done with Sarah or try to patch things up. And remember, Sarah is like a loose cannon. She's always like, I'm gonna kick this person's ass. I'm gonna kill this person. Anyone that you talk to that went to school with them would say the same thing, that that's how she held herself. But also that she never really followed through on these threats. So after a certain amount of times, they kind of get used to her like freaking out about this, that, or the other, but not really doing anything about it. So Adrianne is like writing letters to her saying, let's patch this up. I don't want to feel like this anymore. I really want to still be friends with you. And it seemed like the more that she reached out, the more that Sarah would be mean to her, like go out of her way to be mean to her, try to turn other people against her, and just real mean girl type of things. But she keeps trying, and just when Sarah's starting to come around, good old Cory is like, oh, Adrianne's been writing me notes. And so that just set her off. She was like, that's it. I'm gonna kill her. So Cory's like, yeah, whatever you say, because I'm totally obsessed with you. So let's do that. So eventually Sarah comes up to Adrianne at school and is like, all right, we do need to talk about this. You're right. So for lunch break, you're coming with me. We're going to go to Taco Bell. And I mean, it's Taco Bell, so hell yeah, let's go. So Adrianne, Sarah, Cory, and some other dude get into the car and they go to Taco Bell. And I don't know, get like a 7-layer burrito or something. That's what I would get. But anyways, pretty much as soon as they get there, Sarah starts in on Adrianne. And it's like real catfighty. They're really saying some mean stuff. So this other dude, Mr. No Name, he sees this fight happening and he's like, hey, I'm not cool with this. Like, can we not do this? I thought we were getting tacos. And basically, Sarah and Cory were like, if you don't like it, then you can leave. And so he was smart and left. He pieced out of that situation. Dodged a real bullet there, didn't he? So they're like fighting and fighting, and they're hitting. They're throwing some punches and such. And it just escalates and escalates until they both, Cory and Sarah, strangle Adrianne until she passes out. And they used a ligature. They used, I believe it was Cory's belt. So then she passes out and they sit there and smoke a cigarette, shoot the breeze, and apparently they look back in the, in the back seat. Oh, her lips are blue. Whoops-a-daisy. Looks like we must have killed her. What are we going to do now? These kids are 16 years old. 16. It's crazy. It gets worse. Sorry guys, I totally thought I was filming for the, Anyways, I took a picture instead of filming. So anyways, moving on. Poor Adrianne is now deceased, and these two little scumbags have her body, and also a big problem. They need to figure out how to get rid of the body. So Sarah, being a real leader, she's like, let's burn the body. Let's take the body to my grandparents' farm. There's nobody there. Let's do this. So I don't know if they go and get gas or if they like already have gas at the farm. I'm not sure about that, but there's gasoline involved. And they pour gasoline all over poor Adrianne's body and begin to burn her. Not realizing that it's not just an instant thing, and they're there for a long time, and they're freaking out. Her body's not burning, her body's not disappearing, which they probably assume that her body would just disappear, like turn into ashes, like a cremation, but it certainly wouldn't have been hot enough for long enough. Where's that brush? So Sarah has another idea, and I think that Cory might have also came up with this idea. They went ahead and got a hold of like an acquaintance. I think it was an acquaintance of Cory's. And they were like, yo, can you like help us cut up a dead body? And this guy was like, yeah, sure. So they're, smoking some weed. And by the way, if you want to know who this acquaintance is, his name is Nathan Gaudet. And I think that's how you say his name. I really don't care if I mispronounce his last name because why would I? I wouldn't. So this guy is hanging out with them and he's doing most of the work. He, I believe, used either his father's or his grandfather's saw. And he removed the limbs from the body. He removed her head. And he also cut her torso in half, like right across the middle. And they're just hanging out, smoking weed, cutting up a body, the body of their friend. And just super cash. They go ahead and put the arms and the head inside of a trash bag to go ahead and get rid of that in a certain spot, because the head, dental records, the arms, fingerprints. So they know that they need to get rid of all of this stuff. But all this weed smoking and body chopping up made them real hungry. So before they went to discard the body, they decided to go to McDonald's because they were hungry. Yeah, you did hear that right. After they were done eating, they dropped off her remains at Black Hawk State Historic Site. Now, Adrianne was supposed to work after school, and although she was a troubled young lady, she never missed work. She actually enjoyed going to work, and she missed work. So her dad is trying to figure out where she's at, and he calls the police and gets them involved. And you can imagine, once the police kind of get to know that she's a troubled youth and everything, that maybe she's probably a runaway, which does happen. I mean, it definitely does happen a lot, and that, this response happens a lot too when there's a missing person. They're probably a runaway, which is very frustrating to me because time is so precious in every one of these different unique situations. But her dad did say, her paycheck is at work. What runaway leaves their paycheck? Nobody would leave their paycheck. No teen would run away without getting their paycheck first. So everyone knew something was up. And so the police go ahead and call Sarah. And they're like, hey, have you seen her? What's going on? She was like, yeah, I saw her, just giving vague answers, like, yeah, I gave her a ride. Just very generic answers. And so the police are like, all right, well, any idea where she could be? And Sarah was like, I really don't know. But if you need anything throughout this, just give me a call back. I want to help in whatever way I can. So the cops make a real power move and go to the school and talk to all the different students. And they get the full scoop on the Adrianne, Sarah, Cory trifecta and all the current situation that's been going on, as far as like Sarah freaking out and we're not friends anymore, and how Sarah is just like always saying that she's going to kill people and beat people up and stuff. And also it's found out that there's like journals kept at this school, like all the students have to do a journal entry. And that day that Sarah decided to kill this person that she supposedly cared about, she wrote in her journal and literally said, like, I'm going to kill her. So that's something. So the cops, they go ahead and talk to Sarah again, which is, it's probably a good move. And she's like, all right, well, you know what? I'm going to tell you the truth. I didn't like her. We fought. She hit me. And I hit her back. And then I dropped her off at McDonald's because it was like real close to her house. The end. But she also does kind of go on to tell the police officer like all about the Cory loves me, but I love Adrianne. Adrianne was writing notes to Cory and yada, yada, yada. Meanwhile, the cop is like, just tell me where she's at. So they go ahead and get a hold of Cory. And he kind of slowly is like giving them some information, but trying not to make Sarah look like the piece of garbage that she is. Because, you know, he's like ride or die for her. He would do anything for her. And I believe that they read his journal too, unless these were just like maybe some notes that they found, but lots of talk of being a loyal friend to Sarah and doing anything for her, anything that she wanted, he would do it for her. Because he would be there for her no matter what. And he obviously proved that. Later on, he ends up kind of telling them what happened little by little. At one point, he refused to tell any more details and said that that was between him, Sarah, and Adrianne. That was their business. Which isn't, you know, really not cool to say because Adrianne, what do you mean? It was you guys killing her, attacking her. So it's not between you guys. And also, tell them what happened. Tell them where she's at, which eventually he did lead them to her head and her arms. And it said that as soon as they opened up the spot where she was at and they opened the bag, that immediately they knew that it was a head. Like they just immediately. So that's sad that they have to live with that image in their minds forever. It really doesn't take long for all the dots to be connected. There is a lot of notes written, there's a lot of journals, and also, I mean, these are 16-year-old kids, so they're kind of dumbasses. Like, do you remember being a dumbass 16-year-old? I do. And boy, I'm glad I got past it for the most part. Definitely I didn't kill anybody though, so. Sarah and Cory were both charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder and concealment of a homicide. That was on February 1st of 2005. They both pleaded not guilty at the beginning. Eventually Cory would plead guilty. Not Sarah though. So Sarah ended up getting 48 years plus an additional 5 years. So 53 years in all. Cory got 40 years plus 5 years, so 45 years in all. This one got me a little bit. Nathan, remember the one who cut up the body for them? He got 5 years. So that's kind of crazy because like he cut up a body, he dismembered a body. But he got 5 years. He was actually released in November of 2008. He had served almost 4 years. But the karma of his story is that he actually ended up dying in a car accident in 2012. So that is the story of Adrianne. And I wanted to name this case after the victim. There's only one victim, it's not a serial situation, and she deserves to be the name. A lot of the times the murderers are what's remembered, their names are remembered, but the victims aren't. So I thought it was important that Adrianne's name be the one that we remember. However, if you want to look up pictures of Sarah and Cory, feel free to do so. You can see what their creepy asses look like. Anyways, this is the look. This is my fall kind of grunge look, I guess, because I was thinking early 2000s a little bit. My plan was so not this. I had a completely different plan for my look, there was gonna be 3 cases in one, but I wasn't in the mood for it. And this case actually called to me, if that makes sense. And if I'm not in the mood to do whatever story I'm doing, then I just won't do it. So this is what we ended up with. I hope that you like it, and I hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video.